ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على. أما بعد فأوصيكم بتقوى الله فإنه حبل متين وعروة وثقى. صلوات. صل على Muhammad. Dear brothers and sisters in Iman, first of all, I advise myself for taqwa, parhizgari and piety, and then I advise all of you for the same. Today we have the last Khutba Jum'a of month of Jumada al-Thani. The next Khutba Jum'a will be inshallah in the month of Rajab. The chances are that tonight most probably we will be able to see the new moon, and tomorrow will be first of Rajab, while it can be day after tomorrow also. There is a likelihood. But either the first of Rajab is tomorrow or day after tomorrow, and therefore the next Khutbah Jumu'ah will be inshallah in the month of Rajab. Month of Rajab is such a blessed month that even before Islam, the Arabs would wait for this month. And they would wait this month because this was one of the 4 sacred months. Out of 12 months, there are 4 months known as sacred months. And the one was Rajab, and then the other 3 months are all in sequence: Zul Qa'dah, Zul Hijjah, and Muharram. Those 3 months are known as sacred months and Rajab. And people would wait for this month of Rajab to come in so that they would go for Umrah, because now it was safe, it was sacred month, everybody was safe and secure to travel. So they would go for Umrah. And also this was the month that people would make their du'as, their devotions, and they would do whatever at that time they would consider as ibadat or as worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is even before Islam. When Prophet of Islam started preaching Islam, of course, he kept the same 4 months as the sacred months, and he emphasized on the importance of these months and their sanctity, and also he encouraged people to engage more in ibadat, more in dua, and more in devotion in these sacred months. And month of Rajab, month of Zulqa'dah, Zulhijjah, and Muharram. We have riwayat where Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam said, this month of Rajab is my month, the month of Sha'ban is the month of Rasulullah, and the month of Ramadan is the month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Amirul Mu'mineen had a number of ibadat and a'mal which he would engage in the month of Rajab. He would fast this month of Rajab in its entirety. Every day of Rajab, Amirul Mu'mineen would fast. Of course, then he would fast the month of Sha'ban, which was the month of Rasulullah, and then the month of Ramadan, of course, because that was an obligation. So Amirul Mu'mineen, in other words, was used to fast these 3 months regularly, the month of Rajab, the month of Sha'ban, and the month of Ramadan. So instead of fasting 1 month, he was used to fast 3 months regularly. And in other 9 months also, he was used to fast, but not regularly. So 3 fasts every month were at the minimum. And then sometime he would fast more. But 3 fasts every month was the practice of all Ma'sumin, and it was a practice of most of the God-conscious people, muttaqeen, people that who had the taste of ibadat. They would fast at least 3 days every month. So fastings, then comes the recitation of Quran and the recitation of du'as, and whatever charity people could afford, they would do, because these months they have higher rewards for charity and for ibadat. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq that we welcome this month of Rajab, whether it is gonna start tomorrow or day after tomorrow. We set some goals, we make some plans that if we can't fast the entire month, at least we fast as much as we can, and the minimum could be 3 fasts. And if we fast 3 days in this 1 month with full sincerity, the chances are that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept those 3 fasts equal to 30 fasts, inshallah, and will give us the sawab of fasting entire month of Rajab. Because as we know, it is very common hadith that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you reward. For 1, he gives you reward of 10. So in that way, if we have 3 fasts, so inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take it as 30 fasts. But we again can plan what are those days which are more convenient to us when we can fast, when everybody's schedule is not the same. Different people have different time windows, more appropriate for them or more flexible for them to fast. Similarly, brothers and sisters, when the month of Ramadan comes, all of us, we like to finish the recitation of 1 complete set of Quran from Al-Hamd to Nas. And for most of us who don't recite Quran on regular basis and they are slow in reciting, they feel stress and they feel that they cannot finish it because they cannot read every day 1 juz of Quran. Either they don't have enough time or they don't have that kind of speed. So this is also a good opportunity for them to start reciting from Rajab. So start reciting from Rajab, inshallah, and then keep reciting it in the month of Sha'ban, So in Ramadan, inshallah, you have recited almost most part of it. You don't feel that stress. And then you can recite again in month of Ramadan while you are in practice. You have started reciting Quran on daily basis from the month of Rajab and Sha'ban. So in month of Ramadan, inshallah, it will become easier practice. Look into Mafatihul Jinan, the book of du'as. I think everyone should have that book, Mafatihul Jinan, its translation, or any other book of du'as. And go in the month of Rajab, you will see there are number of prayers and there are number of du'as which are recommended to recite in the month of Rajab. Or these books are now available online also, so you can search any website of du'as, any website of religious books, and you will find Mafatihul Jinan, or almanac they call it, for dua, and you will find these du'as and a'mal. So you can note those things, you can print those things, you can keep those handy in your phones, so you can use those du'as and those a'mal, inshallah, in the month of Rajab. The whole idea is that this is a season of spirituality. We are entering into almost in the spring of spirituality, the spring of ibadat. So in the month of Rajab we start it. It will go to the climax, inshallah, in the month of Ramadan. So if we start early, the chances are we can do better in the month of Ramadan, and we will be already used to for fasting, reciting Quran, reciting du'as, and doing all those charitable deeds which we want to do in those months. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq and give us the ability to do better than what we did last year or what we were used to do in previous years. Every year we have to move forward, and every year we have to do better than what we were doing before. Recite a salawat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صلوات. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على وعلى أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي بن أبي طالب. وعلى سيدة نساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء. وعلى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. اللهم صل على محمد. وعلى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان وعلى آبائه الكرام ما اتصل الليالي والأيام صلوات. Dear brothers and sisters, normally in the second khutbah of Jum'ah, I only recite the Arabic khutbah and conclude the namaz because we are in shortage of time. But sometime it's important to make some observations or to talk about some important things, and second khutbah is designed for that. Yesterday was the 42nd anniversary of Islamic Revolution in Iran. And this revolution in Iran was not only for Iranians, or it was not only an Iranian event. Unfortunately, many in world, they think that that was an Iranian event, or it belongs only to Iran. Well, reality is that that revolution belongs to every Muslim in the world. It belongs to Islam. It belongs to all Muslims. Matter of fact, as Imam Khomeini had mentioned, it belongs to all oppressed people around the world. This was an explosion of nur, the light, and the guidance. It was a call for justice. It was a call for reform. It was a call against the oppressive system, not only in Iran, but everywhere else. And this was not less than a miracle to happen. If you look into the history, that how tough and how difficult this call was. But when Allah wants something to happen, then it happens. It happened because it was will of Allah. It happened because before the appearance of the 12th Imam, certain things have to happen to prepare the way and to pave the way for coming back of Muhammad of the time, the final Muhammad, the Imam Mahdi Ajjalallah Farajahu Sharif. And it was not just something which happened within a few years. It was a struggle of generations. Many people don't know. It was struggle of generations which finally reached to that climax and success on the February 11th, 1979. But if you want to study it, it's a good topic to study. If you have time, when you study about other things, study about this one also. But study through the good sources, the right sources. There are so many, again, bad sources. People have written in West, and they have written with bias. But study, and you will understand that generations of ulama in Najaf, in Burjard, in Qom, and at many other places, they started this, they invested their lives, they wrote about it, they spoke about it, and they worked in community. And finally, as you know that when you struggle, when a movement starts, then it goes through certain phases, and eventually it comes to that time when the time of success is. Definitely, the leadership of Imam Khomeini was a determining factor in this movement. A man that who was visionary, a man that who was pious, a man who was selfless, a man who was brave, a man that who was a very comprehensive individual when it comes to scholarship and activism. I spoke about sometime these issues in past. I don't want to repeat, and this is Khutba Jumma. We don't have much time in hand, but unfortunately, either we have scholars, either we have activists. Very rarely you see the combination of both, that somebody is a scholar and at the same time he has this sense of activism. And if you look at the Prophet was both. We don't use the word scholar for Prophet, it's too little, but basically you understand what I mean. Meaning Madinatul Ilm, a man of knowledge, but at the same time an activist in trenches, in battlefields, in streets, confronting people, being confronted, messing with people, being messed with. Scholars normally avoid from these kind of things. Scholars don't want to get into that. But Prophet did. And that brings the results, my brothers and sisters. So, this leadership of Imam Khomeini was a unique leadership. We had great Maraje, we had great Mujtahideen, we had great scholars in Najaf and Qom. Before him, in his own time, and after him also, we have plenty of them. But this was a unique combination of scholarship and activism. Then piety, the character, then bravery, because you need to be a brave man. So, of course, meaning it was his leadership, commitment of entire community, participation of whole nation. Again, if you study the movements, right now in our this near past, we had this spring, what they call this Arab Spring, and before that there were so many movements in Muslim countries. Shahid Mutahari has a beautiful work where he has analyzed all Muslim movements in 100 years. He took the last 100 years in 20th century, and he says in 20th century, in entire Muslim world, how many Muslim movements we had. He lists all those movements and then he analyzes. And he was philosopher and historian and of course a great scholar, Mujtahid. So he analyzed all these and then he explains their strengths and their weaknesses. If they had some success, why? If they fail, why? One of the things which we see in most of the movements, either these are movements of masses, common people, labor, farmers, and people that are at the bottom of society and big masses, but then elites are not part of it, educated people are not part of it, affluent people are not part of it, and the privileged class is not part of it. Or otherwise, there are movements where all the academia and the enlightened people and educated people and privileged people and civil society and these kind of people are there in streets, but masses are not part of it. Masses don't support it. People of mosques, for example, people of masajid, they are all part of it. But then what happens? That the university is not part of it. University masses, university students are not participating. But masajid and madrasas are participating, or vice versa. That madrasa and the university is there, enlightened people are there, educated people are there, but the religious segment is missing. The beauty and the real success, real reason of success of this revolution in Iran, again, not only this one, but one of the major one was that everyone was part of it. University was part of it, Hausa was part of it, educated people were part of it, uneducated people were part of it, people of small towns and villages were part of it, and people of those mega big cities were also part of it. Right was part of it, left was part of it. If you look into the history, the movement, right and left, both were part of it at that time. Religious people and those who were not that religious, they were both part of it. And my brothers and sisters, success comes only then when you have all these people part of the movement. The reason why most of our movements are not succeeding is that we don't want to include everyone. They are leftists, they are rightists, they are green, they are red, they are this, they are that, they are poor, they are rich, they are elites, they are... So when we start kind of putting these tags on them, then what happens? It is only one fraction. And then such big success, big movements, big revolutions, they can't come. So one of the reasons, everyone, and that was the leadership of Imam Khomeini, that he was able to bring everybody under his wings. He was able to bring everybody under his umbrella. Western journalists did everything in France when they wanted to interview him to break this movement into fractions. They asked very difficult questions, and the purpose was that somehow he gives an answer where some people will not like it and they will run away and they will say, oh, we are not part of it. Maybe the left will go out. Maybe the Western minded people will go out of it. Maybe the elite will go out of it. But Imam was able to answer those questions so nicely and so wisely that he never gave that chance to anyone to say that this is not my revolution, this is not my vision, this is not my plan, so I'm not part of it. He kept everybody under his umbrella, and everybody was united. And this is how the revolution came. This revolution is not because of only one group of people. It is not because of only one segment of the society. This is because of everyone. Everyone. Yes, everyone had their own agenda, no doubt about it. Leftists had their agenda. Western-minded people had their agenda. Some other people had their agenda. But to remove the Shah, to make the revolution successful, everyone was in agreement. Everyone was together. So that is one thing. And the last point which I would like to make is that two things played major role. If you want to understand that how ulama, how Imam Khomeini, how other leaders were able to prepare the people for this revolution, for this movement, how they were able to motivate the masses. Two things, my brothers and sisters, two things played major role. One the lectures of Quran, Tafsir Quran, and the other one was Azadari of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. If you read the history, all these great ulama, including Imam Khomeini himself started the lectures on Quran, Tafsir Quran, and those lectures are compiled. Ayatollah Khamenei, for example, his lectures are compiled. Ayatollah Hashmi Rafsanjani, his lectures are compiled. Ayatollah Musavi Ardebeli, Ayatollah Behishti, Bahunar, all those scholars, people, they went into the local mosques in their own provinces, in their own cities, in their own neighborhoods, and they organized the lectures of Quran, Tafsir Quran. Because Quran is the book of revolution. This book is the most powerful thing. Even Prophet Muhammad, if he was able to change the society and if he was able to bring that revolution in his own lifetime, it was with the power of Quran. It was with the power of this revealed book. Its verses would remove the big mountains. It would motivate people, remove their doubts, and clear their vision and their concepts. The greatest thing was Quran, and then of course on the other side, Ahlul Bayt. These were the two things which Prophet had. Similarly, here ulama, they started organizing the classes of Quran. Muslims cannot remain asleep and inactive and divided if they read Quran and if they understand Quran. Their concepts are not clear. They don't know what kind of wisdom is just buried in their shelves and at their home. The other day somebody sent me a clip 2-3 days before on this WhatsApp. He pointed out at somebody's house the copies of Quran, and you see the webs of what is this called, spider, and all that kind of thing. You can see all, it is just there, and these are the copies of Quran. This is how the Quran is being treated. It's not being opened, it's not being recited, and it is not being recited properly with translation and tafsir, and there is no discussion on Quranic concepts. So one thing what they did, discussions of Quran. The second thing was they changed the mode of azadari. They didn't reduce the azadari. They didn't say, oh, we are revolutionaries, we don't need Hussain. They say, no, we need Hussain more than others. Because Hussain is the source of revolution. So what they did, they changed the topics of majalis. They changed the focus of majalis. While they would talk about Yazid of the past, they would relate with the Yazid of also their own time. When they would talk about that Ibn Ziyad, they would talk about the Ibn Ziyad of their own city. When they would talk about, meaning they were able to relate. The problem is, at many places, many of us, we talk about Imam Ali, we talk about Imam Hussain, we talk about Karbala, but we cannot relate the message of Karbala, message of Imam Hussain, and that Karbala to the Karbala of our own day and our own time. And that's what they did. And the result was what you saw. Rest is the history. So I thought that this is important occasion, and since yesterday was February 11th, and it belongs to all of us. Never feel ashamed or afraid that because we are living in United States of America and US and Iran have problems with one another, so we should just take distance from this. No, this belongs to us. This is our pride as Shias, as followers of Ali, as followers of Fatima. As this belongs to Iran or Iranis, it belongs to us also. Because this is pride of Islam, this is pride of Tashayyo, and we take pride that we are the one that who are part of it and who look at it in the right perspective. Recite salawat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة.